people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. A revealing tweet from Claressa Shields, perhaps a little bit too revealing. She took to her social media and said, "I'm probably pregnant now. Papoose went crazy after the fight."
So revealing about that?
Well, it's not so much revealing as it is odd.
Why?
Perhaps a seemingly unnecessary update that they would have had consensual sex after the fight. Well, that's fine. They're both consenting adults, but we don't need an update about it. It's not four square.
And you're gonna give us updates from the John whenever you wipe your ass? Change a tampon?
Well, it just seems strange that the same girl who's criticizing Alicia for what, she does in her private life feels it necessary to update people about her own sex life.
You fucked me.
Right? I don't know that anybody asked or that anybody wanted to know, but here we are. It almost felt like she was bragging that Papoose actually laid a hand on her. I know it's awkward, but
You fucked me.
she did say on Cam Newton's podcast that her and Pap are going to try to have a kid next year, but I suppose that now is about as good a time as any. The same scarcity of opponents in the middleweight division is there this year, like it will be in the next one, so you might as well get off to an early start. The virtue of Claressa Shields bearing a child.
Why should any of us care, and why would that be a good thing? It's because for at least 9 months, if she is pregnant, she's gonna be away from the boxing world, the boxing ring. It'll give the middleweight division time to breathe.
And give us respite from her and what is her overbearing persona and her overbearing fans that are over the moon that she knocked out a 42-year-old with only 7 fights, only 5 of which she actually won.
I can almost guarantee you that if it were a Katie Taylor boxing a novice professional with only 7 fights, only 5 of which she won, at 42 years old, they wouldn't have the same reaction to that. Or if Amanda did it, but because it's Claressa, it's not even about what she did.
It's just more of the same, from the same people, pushing an agenda.
What agenda is that?
That Claressa Shields hails the moon and the stars for boxing in what are the most empty divisions in all of women's boxing. That, yes, she's dominating these divisions, but there's barely anybody there to dominate. And what is there?
Who's there?
Claressa Shields hasn't boxed a woman younger than 38 years old in her last 4 fights. That is what you'll find north of the junior middleweight division. The higher you go, the emptier it gets. We've been all through that, so let's just say that she actually is pregnant.
Okay then, that's 9 months. We don't have to deal with her.
9 at least, but it'd be more like a year in the time it would take her to carry the child to term, give birth, recover from the pregnancy.
She'd be out longer than just 9 months.
Would seem that her notoriety is finally peaking, so that if she were to be absent now, absence does make the heart grow fonder. There might be some value in her ring return. Simultaneously, that would give the middleweight division a little bit more time to populate.
She's been talking about fights with Michaela Mayer, fights with Lauren Price, fights that I really wouldn't give her any credit for because neither of those women are actually middleweights and haven't accomplished anything there. But this would theoretically give them time to move into that weight class, maybe pick up a title.
Well, how are they gonna do that? Claressa's got 2 of them and Tam Tebow's got the other 2.
Think about it. If Claressa's out with child, those titles might go vacant, at which point they become available for either Michaela or Lauren to win them.
Not dissimilar from what we saw when Dina Thorslund became pregnant and her titles became available for Shernika Johnson to win them. It could be a situation like that that's actually conducive towards building the fights between Claressa and Lauren, Claressa and Michaela. Because I couldn't give Claressa credit for beating those girls now. Those girls aren't middleweights and they haven't done anything there.
Men's welterweight news. Rolly Romero says, Teofimo Lopez will try to beat me, unlike Brian Garcia. Rolly Romero, the WBA welterweight champion, will find out firsthand if his proclamations are true this weekend when he takes on Lopez, his old buddy, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas to headline a DAZN and Prime Video pay-per-view event presented by PBC.
For all of this talk about Teofimo going into business for himself and doing a deal with DAZN directly, at the end of the day, he's not at the helm of this promotion. They are.
Fucking bitch.
Teo is always going to try to win. Teo has a million times more dog in him than Brian Garcia, Romero told the ring. Teo will get cut and fight life or death. Teo previously fought with one lung against George Cambodia. Teo doesn't care. This is going to be a real dogfight. Teo will fight and do whatever he can do to win.
Bitch!
Romero is coming in confident to the clash against Lopez despite a 15-month layoff. Romero last fought in May of last year and dropped Garcia in the second round and cruised to a UD win. Garcia looked lackluster and couldn't find an answer for the power-punching Romero's sudden sound boxing skills. I bodied Ryan. He was scared. He was terrified. The one time he threw a punch, what happened? Romero said. You cannot disrespect Teofimo. The takeover, Lopez, a 28-year-old from Brooklyn, New York, is a former Ring Magazine and Unified Lightweight and Junior Welterweight champion. Lopez last fought in January and suffered a lopsided UD loss to Shakur Stevenson.
So then why is Rolly Romero talking him up?
Because he's got a fight to sell. He's trying to frame it to where somehow he's getting a better version of Teofimo than Shakur got, when in all actuality, the version Shakur got was coming off of consecutive victories and was a defending, reigning world champion, whereas the version that Rolly's getting is coming off a loss and he's new to the weight.
I'm telling you, he's trying to frame it to where he's getting a better version of Teo than Shakur got, so that he can get even more credit than Shakur got if he beats him.
It's a different fight than how Lopez fought Shakur, who's not really a big puncher, Romero said. Shakur is a natural technician. I'm not going to go and try to take from Shakur's playbook. Shakur had an incredible fight against Teofimo, but that's not my style. I'm not a slick, pure boxing southpaw. I didn't even know I had a jab. I ain't a boxer. I ain't a brawler. I ain't a counterpuncher. I don't know what I am. I don't even know how to describe myself.
Yeah, I don't either.
Romero can certainly be described as a power player. However, in the welterweight division, with fights against Garcia, Gervonta Davis, and Isaac Cruz under his belt, the 30-year-old from Las Vegas continues to have a seat at the head of the table, taking significant fights.
I'll be honest with you that this doesn't feel like the week of a big fight. Doesn't have the big fight feel, and why would it? Lopez is literally coming off a lopsided loss earlier this year, and Rolly hasn't fought in 15 months.
What kind of momentum are you supposed to have on a schedule like that where you haven't boxed in over a year? It wasn't for lack of trying. Rolly did have about 3 fights fall through. The rematch with Ryan, a showdown with Devin, a proposed Pacquiao fight. It's almost like he had to accept this fight with Teofimo because there was nothing else on the table. Nothing but a mandatory in Jack Tuna Casserole. So the next encounter just so happens to be someone that he calls a friend. I beat Teofimo. He still goes on to bigger fights at 147 anyways, Romero said. Teofimo can beat all of the other guys at 147 and still become a world champion. Remember this though, I'm always betting on me.
But should we?
So there's been a lot of talk about Rolly's perceived improvements as a boxer now that he's with Ismael Salas. And Ismael Salas is a very good trainer, one of the best in the industry, but I don't know that everything we're seeing from Rolly boils down to just Ismael Salas. Think about the version of Ryan that he fought, the version of Ryan that he beat. And would anybody be saying this now if he hadn't beat Ryan?
No.
Ryan was the betting favorite going in, and Rolly beat him. Beat the odds. But maybe it's because Ryan hadn't fought in a year going into that fight, and he wasn't able to use his Osterin since he was under a magnifying glass. Per the suspension that he had, he was subject to anti-doping testing, whereas there's no record of anyone testing him for the Barrios fight.
And look, he's winning again.
The point being, Rolly didn't get the best version of Ryan.
Nope.
Now did he? And if what everybody's saying is based on him beating Ryan, I don't read too much into that. You notice that the Lopezes have gone into this fight with a chip on their shoulder, in spite of them being the ones coming off a loss, and this being a make-or-break fight for them. They seem very confident that they can beat Rolly. Those old sparring sessions have everything to do with that. That Teofimo knows this guy, and irrespective of what he might have picked up along the way, when the opening bell sounds, Rolly's gonna revert to what he knows.
Teofimo's gonna bring that out of him.
Sort of like muscle memory. Sort of like how Zurdo Ramirez looks to have been an improved fighter ahead of the Benavidez fight, but when he fought him, all of those improvements went out the window because he reverted to what he knew.
I think it's gonna be the same with Rolly.
Whatever improvements he might have made and whatever else he picked up along the way is gonna go out the window when the opening bell sounds. Teo, he's been in there with him too many times. It's almost like muscle memory.
He knows him.
The only real out I give Rolly Romero is maybe punching power, because he is a slightly bigger fighter than Teofimo Lopez, more adequately suited to campaign at this weight and carry weight.
Maybe you could give Rolly power.
Though I say maybe because who is it that Rolly ever knocked out with that power?
He was the best guy that he fought, the best guy that he beat, that he actually knocked him out.
I'm telling you, I don't read too much into Rolly Romero's perceived improvements. I don't really think he improved all that much. I think because he beat Ryan, people are blowing it out of proportion. That's what I think. And this Saturday, I think Teofimo's gonna beat him.
It's just a question of how. Is it gonna be a decision, or does he stop Rolly?
As it's been a very long time since Teofimo stopped anybody.
But I think Teo's gonna win.
Because Teofimo knows him a little bit too well, and because of what usually happens when top-ranked fighters fight PBC guys, because I don't think Rolly actually improved all that much. People are just blowing it out of proportion that he beat Brian.
The undercard.
This has got to be one of the most forgettable undercards I've seen for a pay-per-view in recent memory. There's not a single intriguing fight on that undercard. And it's probably because most of the money to do this show went into the main event.
So, they cheap out on the undercard.
Now it's time for another installment of what has fast become the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail.
Jerry Soriano's back, under an alt account this time, because I know it's him. There are few individuals as concerned about my thoughts on David than Jerry.
My recent video about the upcoming CS-Slack fight, he said, for as much hate Benavidez gets on this channel, he sure is a hot topic, even with using a pic and caption to get the clicks. Great way to get the views.
Is that supposed to be some kind of an accomplishment? That David's in the thumbnail? Virgil Ortiz was in the last 2 thumbnails before that. Claressa Shields in the last 2.
You really are running out of things to say, bud.
He continued, it also seems like the cruiserweight division is getting more attention since Benavidez moved up there. Like Robert Garcia stated last week, Benavidez brought attention back to the cruiserweight division, and whoever is fighting in that division should be happy and excited, because Benavidez is the money man in that division.
Then why did Noel Mikhailian just stand him up? When have you ever heard of a cash cow being stood up by a B-side? I don't recall this ever happening to Canelo, or Floyd, or Oscar De La Hoya, or Roy Jones Jr.
If David is supposed to be the money man at Cruiser, then why did he just get stood up?
He asked what was Jai Opataya's biggest payday. In truth, I really don't know, because Jai made 3 separate appearances on Turkey El Al Sheikh shows, and we all know Turkey has a penchant for overpaying fighters in excess of their market value.
Everybody knows by now, Turkey overpays.
And Jai Opataya's fought on at least 3 of his shows against Jack Macy, Jordan Thompson,
Ellis Zaro.
and don't forget about whatever he's making now as a Zuffa fighter, because they're overpaying their fighters too. So I can't give you an exact number, but I don't get the impression that Jai is hurting for money, or that if a day comes where David does fight him, it'll be David's people paying for the fight. If he ever does fight Jai, you think it's gonna be the PBC at the helm of the promotion?
What the fuck, are you stupid?
The short answer is yes, as this is a poorly crafted argument driven by little more than feelings, not facts. David ain't the money man in the cruiserweight division because he doesn't have more money behind him than Jai Opataya. If he did, then Noel Mikhailian would be fighting him.
David's not the money man of the division because what's he been on pay-per-view? 5, 6 times? And none of those pay-per-views did big numbers. The one he's about to have, that ain't gonna do big numbers either. You think 300, 400,000 people in December are gonna pay to see him fight a nondescript Polish guy that looks like a dildo.
Get real. You fucking losers are just looking for a win wherever you can find one, because by now you know. David is failing. The plan? It didn't work. You tried to shame Canelo Alvarez.
You tried to hit him in the pocket, and it didn't work because he's still the cash cow.
You tried to fool people into thinking the light heavyweights are so scared of you when you're the one that left after just 3 fights.
Hurry or something?
It's a little bit hard to convince people that all these light heavyweights are so scared of you when you were the one in a rush to leave.
Plan's not working.
And his latest cockamamie plan, to try to freeze Jai Opetaia out, not fight him, by fighting everybody else.
Except you ain't got the marquee value to do that. You don't have the money muscle behind you that he has behind him.
Plan's not working, and so David's very small rabble of fans are now looking for a win wherever they can find one, because they can see that he's failing, that the plan isn't working. I got a better crafted argument, a better comment from Cherno Alpha, a friend of the channel, who said, "I understand your point about David ducking Opetaia, and I think the same. But on the other side of that coin, don't guys over-marinate fights like Crawford and Spence, who did only okay numbers for a fight that was similar, ducking, marinating, for something like 4 or 5 years? Let's say they fight next, and by some miracle David wins. His career at that point wouldn't be worth talking about at cruiser, and to a certain extent, neither would Opetaia's."
So here's what it is, Cherno. Under normal circumstances, you might have to marinate a fight to allow its marquee value to build, but you don't have to do that here because the money's already on the table. Since Turkey and Zuffa are willing to overpay, you can do that fight now. There's no excuse not to.
You don't have to build it up. You don't have to wait for the money to be there, because the money's literally there right now.
As far as David's cruiserweight campaign so far, that if he fought Jai Opetaia now, his cruiserweight campaign still wouldn't be worth talking about.
David has never been a Ring Magazine and lineal champion, and David has seldom ever given the fans a fight where maybe he doesn't win, where he's actually risking something. That is the opportunity that fighting Jai Opetaia presents. A legitimate chance to silence the critics, because nobody he's fought so far was going to do that.
So you've got money, you've got legacy, and you've got the window of opportunity. All of the ingredients, and he still wants to delay it.
Even worse, that if you let Turkey and Zuffa do this fight, me and you, Cherno, we don't have to pay per view for it.
In all likelihood, they would do it on Paramount Plus like they're doing the Garcia versus Ben fight. So it's a win for us.
And it's a win for Jai, because that's the fight that he wants. It's just not a win for David or David's fans, because they don't want that fight to happen. They don't want to put him in a situation where he might lose, as they are deathly afraid that I'm gonna be right.
They don't want to end up like the Fury fans when I told them Usyk was going to beat him. They don't want to end up like the Spence fans when I told them Crawford was going to beat him. They're running from this fight
like he's running from this fight. But the fact of the matter is, the biggest fight left for David is Jai Opetaia. And if they were to fight, it wouldn't be David's people paying for it. It'd be Jai's, because Jai is the money man of this division.
Simple as.